From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media, or Voice of America, on the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. I'm Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday urged newly promoted generals and flag officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, to lead with integrity and humility as they carry out their mandate to defend the nation with honor and courage. Speaking at the mass oath-taking of newly promoted AFP officials and graduates of foreign pre-commissioned training institutions in Malacañang Palace, the President said the ceremony serves as a reminder of their sacred trust, upholding the Constitution, serving the Filipino people, and remaining loyal to the Republic. President Marcos called on the officers to remain steadfast in protecting the country's sovereignty, strengthening national security, and safeguarding the freedoms of all Filipinos. The Commander-in-Chief said their promotion reflects the AFP's continued loyalty to the Constitution, democratic institutions, and the Filipino people. President Marcos added that the government has taken steps in recent months to ensure the AFP remains a model of discipline, competence, and service. The chief executive also reaffirmed his administration's support for the AFP, highlighting ongoing efforts to modernize the armed forces to strengthen defense capabilities and uplift troop morale. President Marcos cited his recent approval of higher base pay and increased daily subsistence allowances for military and uniformed personnel, recognizing their role in addressing both current and emerging security challenges. The President expressed confidence that the AFP will continue to work with his administration in building a stronger, more secure new Philippines.
I congratulate our generals and flag officers, including the two newly commissioned graduates of foreign pre-commissioned training institutions. As you open another chapter, you also accept greater responsibility to lead with wisdom, restraint, and moral clarity. This ceremony serves as a powerful affirmation that our loyalty is anchored to the Constitution, to our democratic institutions, and above all, to the people. As your President and your Commander-in-Chief, I reaffirm this administration's commitment to the continued modernization of the armed forces. In fact, we have taken steps to better support the women and men in uniform. We have approved the increase of the base pay of military and uniformed personnel. We also increased this year the daily subsistence allowance of all military and uniformed personnel to 350 pesos. All these reflect our principle that honoring service means ensuring that those who serve are given the support and dignity that they rightfully deserve. May you always wear the stars on your shoulders as daily reminders of your duty to lead with integrity, to serve with humility, and if necessary, fight for the Republic with honor and with courage.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday announced that courts have issued arrest warrants for contractor Cesara Rowena Sara Discaya and 9 others implicated in the 96.5 million peso ghost flood control project in Davao Occidental Province. In a video message, the president said the accused, including several officials of the Department of Public Works and Highways, or DPWH, are facing non-bailable charges of graft and malversation. President Marcos added that the government is determined not only to prosecute those responsible, but also to recover the public funds lost to the alleged scheme. The Office of the Ombudsman earlier recommended the filing of malversation through falsification and violation of Section 3E of Republic Act 3019 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act over the alleged ghost project. Other respondents include Maria Roma Angeline Rimando, representatives of St. Timothy Construction Corporation, and several DPWH personnel. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court announced that the 2 cases against Discaya and DPWH engineers in Davao Occidental have been transferred to the Regional Trial Court in Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu. Discaya remains in the custody of the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, pending the issuance of arrest warrants by the courts handling her cases. President Marcos Jr. also said 8 DPWH officials linked to the anomalous project have expressed willingness to surrender. The question project in Kulaman, Jose Abad Santos, was awarded to Discaya-owned St. Timothy Construction Corporation on January 13, 2022. It was declared completed later that year despite never having been started.
Ang 96.5 million na ghost flood project sa Davao Occidental, naglabas na ng warrant of arrest ang korte laban sa 10 pangunahing sangkot dito sa anomalyang ito. Ang mga akusado ay nahaharap sa kasong graft at malversation. Ito pong mga kasong ito, hindi po bailable ito. Hindi pwedeng bayaran ang kanilang para sila makalabas sa kulungan. Kabilang na po rito si Sara Discaya, na sa kasalukuyan ay nasa kustodiya ng NBI. Bukod dito, may 8 opisyal pa ng DPWH ang nagpahayag na kagustuhan nilang sumuko. Ito po ay patuloy namin ang gagawin at simula lang po ito at patuloy namin imbestigahan at kakasuhan lahat po ng may kinalaman sa mga iskandalo na nakikita natin sa mga flood control project. At titiyakin po natin na hindi lamang sila ay makakasuhan, kundi maibalik ang pera ng ating mga binayad ng ating mga kababayan ay ibalik sa kaba ng ating bansa.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Thursday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. announced that qualified members of the Social Security System, or SSS, may now apply for an emergency loan following the declaration of a 1-year state of national calamity. In a video message, the president said the loan program is intended to help Filipinos meet urgent needs during crisis without falling into heavy debt. According to the chief executive, eligible SSS members may avail of the loan at a 7% annual interest rate with a 6-month moratorium on amortization payments. The president said the loan may be used for immediate and essential needs, particularly during emergencies, and serves as a safer, more affordable alternative to predatory lending schemes. President Marcos also vowed to work with the SSS to develop more secure and fair microloan and emergency loan options. On November 5th, President Marcos Jr. signed Proclamation number 1077, placing the country under a state of national calamity for 1 year to fast-track rescue, relief, recovery, and rehabilitation efforts after the widespread damage caused by Typhoon Tino. The proclamation authorizes the implementation of remedial measures such as price ceilings on basic goods, preventing overpricing and hoarding, and mobilizing government funds for relief and rehabilitation programs.
Sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan na SSS member, meron akong magandang balita. Simula itong Disyembre na ito, ay makakapagbigay na ang SSS na tinatawag na emergency loan. Dahil habang nasa ilalim, halimbawa, ng national emergency, ay magbibigay ng emergency loan ang SSS. Ito ay isang pautang na ang bayad ay mababa lang, 7% lang. Bukod pa riyan, ay meron tinatawag na 6-month moratorium. Ibig sabihin, pagtanggap ninyo ng loan galing sa SSS, sa 6 na buwan, sa unang 6 na buwan, hindi kayo kailangan magbayad para sa loan amortization. Para naman mapagaan ang inyong dala. Magagamit po inyo itong loan na ito para sa inyong pangangailangan, lalo na, kagaya ng aking nabanggit, pagka-emergency, ito po ang makukuha ninyo sa SSS. At tuloy-tuloy naman po ang pakikipag-ugnayan ko sa SSS upang makahanap ng iba't iba pang paraan para magkaroon ng mas ligtas at makatarungan na alternatibo sa microloan at emergency loan. Maganda po ito kasi imbis na pupunta po kayo sa 5-6 at mapasubo sa malalim na utang, ay meron na kayo magagamit at ang babayaran lang ay 7% lamang. Kaya sana ito ay makatulong po sa inyo lahat.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. remains confident that the proposed 2026 national budget will be enacted before the end of the year, Malacañang said Thursday after Congress concluded its bicameral conference committee deliberations. In a text message, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said, the President expects the final version of the 2026 General Appropriations Act, or GAA, to be transmitted to Malacañang on schedule and signed before year-end. The Senate and the House of Representatives wrapped up their bicameral deliberations early Thursday, completing 6 days of negotiations to reconcile differing provisions in the proposed 6.793 trillion peso General Appropriations Bill, or GAB, and ensure a transparent, responsive spending plan. The bicameral panel concluded its work at 2:22 in the morning, finalizing the harmonized version of the budget measure. Malacañang earlier said President Marcos has been closely monitoring the budget process, stressing the need for a spending program that supports economic growth, strengthens social services, and advances priority government initiatives while maintaining fiscal discipline. Senate Committee on Finance Chairperson Sherwin Gatchalian said Congress aims to ratify the 2026 budget and transmit it to the President on December 29th. Once submitted, the Chief Executive has until the end of the year to sign the measure into law or exercise his line-item veto authority in accordance with constitutional deadlines.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Thursday, work in all government offices will be suspended on December 29, 2025 and January 2, 2026, giving government workers an extended break for the New Year holidays. The suspension is outlined in Memorandum Circular, or MC number 111, signed by Executive Secretary Ralph Recto by authority of the President. The circular stated that in order to provide government employees full opportunity to celebrate New Year's Day activities and to allow them to travel to and from different regions in the country, work in all government offices is hereby suspended on Monday, December 29th, 2025 and Friday, January 2nd, 2026. However, agencies involved in basic, vital, and health services, as well as those responsible for preparedness and emergency response, are required to maintain full operations on those dates. Private companies may decide on their own whether to suspend work. The additional days off extend the holiday break for government personnel, with December 30th, Rizal Day, and January 1st, 2026, New Year's Day, designated as regular holidays, and December 31st, 2025, the last day of the year, declared a special non-working day. MC 111 takes effect immediately.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has approved the release of the 2025 Productivity Enhancement Incentive, or PEI, set at a uniform 5,000 pesos for every qualified government employee. In a circular dated December 17th, the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, informed all department heads, bureaus, agencies, local water districts, local government units or LGUs, state universities and colleges or SUCs, and government-owned or controlled corporations or GOCCs of the PEI grant for 2025. The incentive will be distributed no earlier than December 15, following the provisions of Budget Circular Number 2017-45. Budget Circular Number 2017-45 outlines the eligibility rules for the PEI, covering civilian personnel, regular, casual, or contractual, appointive or elective, full-time or part-time, as well as military and uniformed personnel. The PEI is part of the Performance-Based Incentive System, or PBIS, designed to strengthen productivity, accountability, and the attainment of agency targets. Eligibility for PBIS allowances and bonuses is assessed through the Results-Based Performance Management System, or RBPMS. Implementation of both PBIS and RBPMS was suspended after the issuance of Executive Order No. 61 in June of 2024, prompting the creation of a technical working group to review and streamline the government's performance management and incentive mechanisms. To sustain productivity efforts and encourage agencies to meet performance goals, President Marcos authorized the DBM to issue guidelines for the 2025 PEI. The incentive is consistent with Congress Joint Resolution No. 4 in 2009, which promotes a performance-based reward system for exemplary civil servants and high-performing agencies. It also forms part of the total compensation framework and is included under personal services in the 2025 General Appropriations Act, pursuant to National Budget Circular Number 595.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Malacañang underscored the need for data-driven policymaking to sustain the country's development momentum. In a speech during the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, or DepDev's 90th anniversary celebration at Crown Plaza in Quezon City on Thursday, Executive Secretary Ralph Recto pointed to the country's steady gains in reducing poverty as evidence of the power of inclusive, evidence-based planning. Recto noted that poverty incidence dropped from 23.5% a decade ago to 15.5% in 2023, adding that the Marcos administration is targeting single-digit poverty levels by 2028. He added that years of sustained planning have enabled millions of children to attend school, helped families secure housing, and improved the daily lives of Filipinos. Recto, who served as Socio-Economic Planning Secretary and National Economic Development Authority or NEDA Director General in 2008, highlighted DepDev's central role in shaping a more resilient and inclusive economy through long-term data-informed strategies. He described the agency, formerly known as NEDA, as the nerve center of reason in the noise of populism and the scoreboard keeper of what truly matters: jobs created, investments attracted, infrastructure built, and Filipinos lifted out of poverty. Recto also thanked the country's development partners for their continued trust and support, emphasizing that international cooperation has long been vital to national progress. He reaffirmed the administration's commitment to fully implement the Philippine Development Plan or PDP 2023 to 2028 and advance Ambisyon Natin 2040. Calling for a culture of planning that transcends politics, Rector urged stakeholders to remain focused on long-term nation building for both present and future generations.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, is closely monitoring the situation of Filipinos in Thailand and Cambodia amid the ongoing conflict between the two countries. In a press briefing, Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo said 56 Filipinos in Cambodia and 256 in Thailand have been affected by the situation. According to Kakdak, the Filipinos in Cambodia are victims of scam hubs, and the DMW is now facilitating their return to the Philippines. Meanwhile, Filipinos in Thailand have been evacuated to the northern part of the country and continue to receive assistance from DMW personnel. However, they have declined repatriation because they hold legitimate jobs as English teachers and school personnel. It will be recalled that renewed clashes between Thailand and Cambodia erupted on December 8th after Thailand launched an airstrike on military targets in Cambodia, prompting retaliation. In the latest reports, more than 500,000 individuals have been forced to flee, including thousands of residents on both sides of the border.
Right now, they are on safe ground, but we are awaiting the safe repatriation through our embassy in Phnom Penh, nung 56 on the Cambodian side. Okay. So, doon naman sa okay, I'll discuss the border conflict na. Yung sa border conflict naman, so that's the Cambodian side of the border conflict. Sa Thai side of the border conflict, which is around east ng Thailand, around southeast ng Thailand, we are assisting 256 who are affected. They have been evacuated. That's a key word, evacuated from the southern border, on the border areas, upward. No? So they're in evacuation centers. They are safe, and they're currently being assisted by our labor attaché also, our labor attaché, Don Pangkog in Bangkok. So binibigyan silang financial assistance. Ngayon, bakit ko ine-emphasize yung evacuation? They have been evacuated in country, yes, but they may not be repatriated yet at this stage. Pauwi naman, di ba? So evacuation, repatriation. Na-evacuate sila, but will they be repatriated? Remains to be seen at this stage kasi they are teachers and non-teaching personnel in schools along the Thai border with Cambodia. So obviously, pag tumila o humupa ang sitwasyon, they may be able to go back to their respective teaching institutions. So medyo necessary kasi sila sa schools to run the schools, right? And of course, they are happy with their jobs. So sa ngayon, they are staying in evacuation centers, or some of them are being sheltered by Pinoy citizens in safer ground. So nag-aantay din sila. They are not necessarily asking to be or wanting to be repatriated.
That was Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakatak.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download eBox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.